Warning: the following content may be disturbing to some individuals. Consumer discretion is advised.
Sirens of the Supernatural. Welcome, listeners and viewers, to our second season of Sirens of the Supernatural podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Rhonda. This is Lindsay, my daughter, and our cousin Ryan couldn't be on this episode tonight because he's traveling, but he will join us again, hopefully next week during that episode. He collaborates with us and works behind the scenes. And if you missed season one, we're coming to you from North Carolina, Tennessee, and Virginia. You can learn more about us and how we got started in this podcast journey if you listen to the first episode of season one. So go back and catch that at least if you missed season two, and then you can go back and catch up on all the other great episodes. Shout out to everybody who joined us the first season. We had a blast researching and doing on-site investigations and bringing you these spooky episodes. And we are glad you've joined us for this season. We're excited for a new season. We've got some awesome guests. We're going to do some on-site investigations during the next months. And I'm sure that Lindsay will echo those exciting sentiments. We took a break for the holidays, but we're glad to be back. It seems like it's been a long time, doesn't it?
Yeah, it seems like it's been forever.
Yeah, we got to get back into the swing of things.
Yeah.
Well, how are you doing? Are you ready to roll?
I'm doing good. I'm excited about this season. I feel like we have a lot of really, really fun ideas lined up, and I'm just excited to get going.
Yeah, we've got some great topics we've been brainstorming. If our listeners have any topics they'd like us to cover, we'll tell you at the end of the show how to get in touch with us. But for right now, we have a special guest joining us for this very first episode of season two. And we'll bring her in, and her name is Julie Starr, and I'll let her. Hi, Julie.
Hi. How
Good to
are
have
you, Rhonda
you.
and Lindsay?
Very good.
Good,
It's
good.
wonderful to have you
Thank you.
joining us tonight. And
Yeah,
I will let you kind of introduce yourself to our listeners and tell them a little bit about you and your background.
absolutely. So I'm Julie, and I am a licensed massage therapist and master esthetician, but I started seeing auras and supernatural things when I was 9 years old. So most of my adult life, I have been seeing clients and lead them on a path of healing and understanding of supernatural things, herbs, and reading auras, and teaching them how to do that themselves. Yeah.
That's really interesting. Sounds really interesting. And I totally forgot to tell the listeners that the episode was about auras and reading auras.
That's right. That's what we're doing today.
Yeah, good reminder. Good reminder. And the little that I know about it, I just Googled, like, anybody does. And I came across a couple of websites. One was mindbodygreen.com and the other was healthline.com. And I just Googled auras. And the definition that I got, but of course, we want to hear your definition. The website said auras are thought of as the unseen field of energy or the very low level of electricity that we radiate as humans. These auras surround the physical body. They're affected by our moods and emotional states, and sometimes the states of others. And different colors are associated with different qualities and emotions. And this subject fascinates me. And I was so glad when Ryan, our co-host, told us that he knew someone that could read auras. And we've been wanting to have you on for a while. So tell us what your definition of auras is.
So exact same thing. It is an electric field around you, and it changes with your moods, with your energy flow. I don't necessarily find it a low energy, because sometimes when you're high energy, your aura gets bigger. Or if I entered into Lindsay's field, our auras could mesh. It could become two big auras together, but your colors change. But it's strictly electricity, which the human body is.
So it is a real thing. It's
It,
like a mood ring. That's what I think about when you
that's
talk.
exactly
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
Are people's auras always a combination of colors, or is it one color at a time if your mood or emotions change?
Usually it's multitudes of colors. And we go with the rainbow, Roy G. Biv, but I've seen pink around people.
Mhm.
Years ago, I had a sister that she had pink with black dots. I had never seen it. And so for me, when that happens, and I go, what does pink mean to you? What does black mean to you? And so she had to kind of fill in what pink meant to her, because that wasn't one of her colors that she loved. But
Oh,
so your aura will change, and it'll be multitudes of colors. Very, very seldom is it one color. Do you remember seeing a picture of the Christ child? And he has a
mhm.
white aura around him always. It's just a white light around him.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he is believed to be as pure as he could be. But most of us don't just have a white light, because we have other emotions, other moods, other growth that's taking place. And then besides what's coming out from the inside, what's affected us from the outside,
Ah,
right?
so our environment can affect us too.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So when you see a person, and or if you're giving an aura reading, what do you look for right after you look for the aura color? What do you want to know about that person?
So part of my gift is reading people. I've just been able to do that since I was 9, and I'm 61 years old. And so when I'm going to read, like, I don't do tarot cards, but I have life journey cards or
Mhm.
labyrinth cards representing the journey of your life. So if you came to me, Rhonda, I would look at your aura,
Mhm.
and then I'm going to read your cards. And hopefully, after I've told you what I see in that energy field, those cards would light up. But for some reason with me, when you walk into a room, I can see it. I can read you when you walk into a room. Now, a lot of people can read people without seeing the colors, but
Mm.
you're reading that energy. And we've all walked in a room that we've been very happy, and someone's in a bad mood. And all of a sudden, we get in their energy field, and we're in a bad mood, and they're happy. And we just exchanged energy, is all we did.
Mm-hmm.
So now their aura changed, and we have that yucky colors around us, because now we're at a lower vibration, because we took on their negative energy. Does that
Ah,
make sense?
yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
does. It actually does. I imagine that walking into a room or someone walking into your space, being able to read them very quickly is helpful, very helpful to you.
It's super, especially when I was seeing clients.
Mhm.
Now, when I was in training, and I call it in training because Spirit was teaching me that I don't share everything I know, but I thought I was supposed to tell everything I picked up on. And
Mm-hmm.
I would have to learn through wisdom that it was my training. So
Mhm.
I would know about you without having to go, Rhonda or Lindsay, this is what I see, this is what I hear. And you're going, no, I don't know you well enough for you to know that portion of my
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
So with time, I've learned to go, oh, okay. Okay, this is what I see. And then as we get to know anybody, then we're freer to open. And, it's like, oh, yeah, that's what I see.
Mhm. Sure, sure. So you mentioned that you started seeing auras when you were 9. Can you tell us about that? That had to be a little did you understand what was going on?
No. So we were actually at my granddad's funeral, and we were sitting um, in the living room. I have four sisters. We were all in the living room. The parents, this is Cleburne, Texas, we're in the back of the house, and I see granddad walk through the room. Now, granddad has passed. I see granddad walk through the room with this bright white light around him. And I'm going, I told my sister Sally, granddad just came through the room. Well, I'm the youngest of five, right? And they were like, don't say stuff like that. You're going to upset the parents.
Yeah.
But as I'm staring at him, thinking, well, I just saw him, I start seeing colors around Sally. And I'm like, how weird is this? And I go, Sally, you have yellow around you and blue. And she's like, what? And that would start my onset of being able to see colors around people. So after a while, my parents took me to our priest. We were good Episcopalians, and Father Roper said, we don't do things like this. And my mother had enough wisdom to go, but she does.
Mm-hmm.
And so instead of squishing it, she was very open to exploring with me. Right. So I think that would help me through the years develop a passion for it and an understanding. And then through years, I've taken so many classes and met so many cool people that can do it too. Mm-hmm. And then I learned how to teach you to do it, because we can all do it. I just happened, for whatever reason, it came out without me having a great study, right? But we can all do it.
Right. But your sisters, do any of them read auras or?
You know, Sally never saw them. She's deceased now, but she never saw them. But she was very good at picking up energies. She didn't see colors, but she and I were very much alike in the energy supernatural walk. And it would pique our interest at young age. And that would be both of us a life study for us. And, but yeah, I'm the only one in the family that actually sees colors, but others can feel the energy.
Your mother was very wise not to, squelch that.
She was super cool. Even though we were good Episcopalians, she got us in transcendental meditation when I was 9. Daddy had a bad temper. He was a physician. Mother was an RN. And she thought that would help with his temper. And it didn't. But I would fall in love with meditation. I think Daddy, when he went to meditate, took a nap. You know, it's all good. But that would start encouraging this energy life, trying to discover what energy was and why we have colors around us. And, you know, Dad was the one that said, well, when you have a heart attack, we use fibrillators to shock you back to life. It's an electrical current. And so that would even add more study, right? Yeah.
So when you read an aura, like, is it something that if someone were to walk in the room, you automatically see the colors, or do you have to stop and really concentrate to see them?
So when I would see clients, and I did for almost 40 years, when you come to me, we would sit down just for a few minutes and I would just look at you. I wouldn't make them uncomfortable, but eventually your clients know what you're doing. And I would get a feel for what was happening in your life. But Lindsay, if you came to me as a client, I'm not going to do a lot of discussion with you in the first. I'm going to look at your aura. I'm going to get you on the table. I'm going to start reading your body. And then I can tell you what is happening. My job, my gift is to tell you what's happening, not you tell me. So a lot of times we go to the doctors or massage or whatever, and we're telling people what's wrong. But if you're a good healer, you pick up on it and you read it, and I should be able to tell you what's happening. So when you walk into my house, I'm assessing you just a little bit, just going, okay. You know, she has a light yellow around her. It's kind of muddy colored yellow, mustardy. That would tell me that you're pretty tired and perhaps getting sick. Your orange is going to be kind of a creativity color. I mean, I see colors on you now, but I will not do computer readings because we have so many
Yeah.
electrical things, and people do it all the time and they're confident in it, but I just don't trust it because there's so
Yeah.
much that comes off computers
Mhm.
and phones.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
yes, when you walk in, I'm looking and kind of assessing what's happening in your life.
Yeah. So when you like go out to the store and you go places, do you see colors around people? Like, can you know, maybe not know the person, but like if you're walking down the grocery store aisle and you see somebody and they have like a really muddy, like negative color, you're like, okay, well, maybe I'll go down a different aisle and come back to this one.
Yes. But I don't walk in and see, like, I'm going to use this from The Sixth Sense. I don't walk in and see dead people. I mean, I don't walk in and everybody's colors are everywhere. But if I stop and relax my eyes, then I can see
And,
the
like, really
colors. But I don't walk in and it's
Okay.
a rainbow in the grocery store. But absolutely, do I like pass someone, feel the energy? I'll stop and look at them and either make that, I'm going to back away your way or something. But it's once you learn how to read them, the auras, which when you're ready, I'll talk to you about that. Then you can't help but do that because as you're learning, you want to do it to get better, right? And then as you master it, which it will take some time probably for most of us to master it, then it's a lot of fun because people don't know why you know things when they haven't opened their mouth. And it's
I'm glad you asked that though, Lindsay, because I was wondering too. And I was thinking, if that were me, I'd be so distracted all the time.
I would want to do it all the time. I would be looking at everything.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, do you want to know how to do it? And then you can just practice all the time. You know those pictures that used to be out? I don't know if they're still out, but they looked like little designs and you had to relax your eyes and things would pop out. Do you know? I don't know what they're called, but do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, they used to
like
put
a
those in the
hidden image kind
newspaper.
of.
Yes. And when they first came out, in fact, my first one was here in Gatlinburg many years ago. And I'm going, that's how you see ours. You just relax your eyes. And it's almost like you lose focus. And then you'll see the colors come out.
How neat.
And like I tell people, just practice that. Don't make it too hard. Just like if you'll go outside and sit down, anything living has an aura around it. It plants anything. Usually your plant life is white. It's pretty pure energy, right? But you'll see sick plants or whatever. But if you'll go outside, just sit in the grass and stare at a tree, a leaf, a blade of grass, your eyes will start focusing in where you see that white around it. That's its aura. Anything living has an aura.
Yeah, that's good because I was going to ask, do our pets have auras? So
absolutely. Absolutely.
I know. I feel like I'm just going to be practicing on Champ all the time, just like staring at him, and he's going to be like, "What are you doing?
What kind of mood are you in today?"
Like, why is she staring at me?
Wait till I practice it on your dad.
Just sit back and stare at him.
Yeah.
So once you start seeing them again,
too?
I'm sorry.
What?
Do pets usually have white auras too?
Mostly so, unless they're getting sick or it's time to transition over, then they'll start changing a little bit. But just like humans, our pets, we have some very aggressive animals and some that are just so mild and mellow. I mean, my little dog that I got from my dad used to be a little biting dog. It's, she's a Shih Tzu and she would bite and she would have other colors around her. And I'd think, I'm not keeping this dog, but of course I love her and she loves me. But, or a cat jumping through the house, you'll see their auras change. But usually animals are very pure hearted. They're very kind and sweet. And again, you get some that just have that bad seed in them and they'll change a little bit, like anybody.
Yeah.
For sure.
I was going to ask, do our zodiac signs have anything to do with the color of our auras?
So
Right.
I was reading, Ryan sent me something. I don't think so, but you have to remember that these are people's theories. So when I teach, if it's not a fact,
Mm-hmm.
it's a theory. So either get up, research, and get 10 different theories and come up with your own, or pick one that resonates with you. And Ryan sent me something, and I was reading the zodiac signs, and it was the first time I heard them assigned to colors
Uh-huh.
because your aura changes so much. And I
Right.
thought, oh, how interesting that it would be assigned. Like when I think of a Leo, I automatically think of golden. It's a
Uh-huh.
golden color to me.
Mhm.
Cancer, I actually, instead of thinking of blue water, I see red. So that wasn't lining up with that exact
Mm-hmm.
thing, and it wouldn't let
Yeah.
me print it off. Otherwise, I was going to research it. But I think it depends on what you think, Rhonda. I mean, as an individual.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I was curious what your
Yeah.
thoughts were on that.
Yeah.
Um, and you said our auras can change with mood, environment, other people's auras can affect ours or energies. Um, as we change and get older, I guess our auras change over time too. Is that right?
Well, I'm going to hope so. Um, as we age, we become a little more peaceful.
Mm.
We become a little bit more laid back. Not that younger people aren't, but when we're young, we're building our life. And so
Mhm.
we have a lot of things coming at us that create a little more stress. And so as we get older, hopefully we've gained some wisdom and we've come to have different things that matter to us.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel for myself that I'm a lot calmer than I used to be. Now I talk all the time, do not get me wrong, but I'm calmer than I used to be. You're not going to push the buttons as when I was younger as
Mm-hmm.
easily. I mean, you can still
Mhm.
push them, but it's not going to happen as easily. So I
Exactly.
do believe the colors change. But within our body, we have what they call chakras.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mhm.
word chakra means wheel, and they're energy systems. There's 7 of them, but in reality, we have thousands.
Mm-hmm.
And each chakra has a color assigned to it. Okay. And it's the same colors that most people assign to our auras. They've just
Oh.
assigned colors, but they don't have to be that color. It's just we've assigned colors to things because
Mm-hmm.
as humans, we need that. But we'll start like with the I want to look right here and make sure I'm getting it right. Like with the root chakra, it's going to be red. Okay, but that would
Mhm.
be the roots, and then you're going to have the orange, yellow, green, Roy G. Biv. Is that how y'all
Mm-hmm.
remember your rainbow colors? So this is actually backwards according to your chakras. But
Okay.
when I see colors around somebody, for me, purple, as this one says, yes, it's higher consciousness. It is spiritual awareness. I agree with that 100%. Red, absolutely. You got some passion around you, some determination. So I think these pretty much, and I haven't read all these line up, but I always ask people, like, when I see green, to me, that's a new beginning coming in your life. Orange is a color of not confidence, creativity. You
Mm-hmm.
have something creative, where they have here yellow's creative. Yellow reminds me of laughter, of a freedom, where orange to me is creative.
Mm-hmm.
So if I read Lindsay's aura and I saw um, the yellow around her, I would automatically go, Lindsay, what does yellow mean to you? What does that mean to you? Before I tell her what it means to me, because we're free. It's a theory. So we're free to have a feeling. Like if I wear turquoise, I feel beautiful. I used to have big chunks of turquoise and it kept me safe in travel, my belief system, but I felt beautiful when I wore them. Just felt beautiful. Or in black, I feel good in black. And I'm sure y'all have colors that you just rock. You know, you go,
Right.
oh, I feel good. But if I put on yellow, I mean, I look sickly. If I
Same,
Me
same.
too. Yeah,
right,
can't do it.
so no matter what you do with yellow on, you just don't feel good because
Right.
it's washed you out, and then
Yeah.
so your auras will change. And always read suggestions on what those color mean. But again, remember it's a theory, so make sure you're open to going, well, I find turquoise a happy, safe color. And
Hmm.
Can I ask, when you come into contact with someone, or someone comes to you for a reading and you see red, is that all? What does that always mean? The same thing, person to person? Like, could this be someone with anger issues or stress, or is it just energy, passion?
yeah, no, each person it means something different on.
Oh,
Um, so that's why, again, as humans, we try to label everything because it's
mhm.
easier for
Yeah,
us, right? But
right.
not everybody sees or feels the same thing. Like sometimes I've had people in, and red was full of confidence, full
Oh,
of passion. And then I've had people that came in and red, they were so mad. They were so mad. And it was that anger color. So it varies with that person's energy, what they're feeling for that
mhm,
moment.
mhm,
You
So
know,
cool.
we think of those, and we're just talking about red right now, but if when I used to do presentations on a stage, I wore a deep maroon with black, and it's a power color. It
mhm.
makes you look powerful. You sound powerful. And so, but when I'm mad too, my aura's red around it.
Can you see your own aura then?
Um, I can. I
Oh,
can see my own aura when I look in the mirror, or I know my aura from my moods also.
uh-huh.
But I've done
Okay.
it for so long
Mhm.
that I know, like, this is personal information, but the last 2 days I've had to lay low. I can't behave. And it's my energy. So I just can't behave. And so I stay away from people because I know I'm going to transfer. I'm not sick. I'm not mad. I just cannot behave. So I'm not going to be around you because I'm not going to transfer that to you
That
unless
energy.
you already know energy and how to ground yourself.
Yeah.
And if you don't know how to ground yourself, then I'm wise enough within my field that I go, I'm
Mhm.
just going to stay put for a little bit until I can take deep breaths and get outside and do a walk and, you know,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but
Well,
yeah.
let's talk about grounding yourself. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So there's many ways to ground yourself. I like to go outside barefoot. The earth is
Mhm.
grounding. I drink out of, I look over here because I have a copper water bottle. I drink out of copper. Copper is very grounding. So get a copper water bottle. I keep the Celtic salt in a copper wire. I have the salt lamps that are Himalayan salt. And those are all things that'll ground you. But the best grounding tool is to get outside barefoot. Get your feet on the ground.
Mhm.
But you can also use essential oils like my trademark, which I don't wear anymore because I the guide, but is patchouli and lavender.
Oh.
When you breathe in an essential oil,
Mhm.
blow out. I take my hands over my head, move my energy out. But when you breathe in oil, it opens up the limbic lobe of the brain and creates an emotional release. Sometimes it's a happy release, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it'll come days later. But if you're smelling a grounding oil, a dirt,
Mhm.
patchouli, sage, sweetgrass, those are things that'll ground you and make you calmer. And then
That's
we can talk about other oils, but
yeah,
those are
that's good to know. I've got a diffuser, and I never know what kind of scents to get. So that's helpful.
well, I'm glad. And just make sure that your oils um, are pure essential oils, not a
Mhm.
fragrance oil. A
Mhm.
lot of the MLMs, doTERRA, Gary Young, they're all good and they all claim to be the best, and they are good, but you don't have to spend that kind of money for
Mhm.
a truly good essential oil. At the college, I certified people in aromatherapy along with the master aesthetics, and um, there's plenty of places to get a healthy oil that you don't have to pay for a little bitty bottle, $60.
Yes,
Does that make sense?
it does. Yeah.
Make sure you have a great oil.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Lindsay, did you have any questions about that or auras in general?
Um,
You always come up with some good questions.
no, I wouldn't say about like the aromatherapy part of it, but I did have another question about auras. When you sit with somebody and you see their aura, does it just like radiate around them, or does it come, can you see it like radiating out of a certain spot and then it covers them? Or is it just kind of like a halo around of the energy?
So when I'm looking at you, it's a halo around you, around your body. But when you're on my table, my healing table, and I'm laying hands on you, I mean, we call it Reiki, we call it laying on of hands, we call it therapeutic touch, therapeutic light. It's basically the same thing with different names. One you visualize symbols, and one you're calling in the Christ, and one a white light, and then when I have my hands on you, then I see the colors coming up. But when
Okay.
you just walk in, I'm sure there's somebody that can. I just don't see it beaten out of you. I see
Mm-hmm.
it surrounding you. Is
Gotcha.
that what you were asking me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess my other question that I wanted to ask is what is the most, I guess, unique aura that you've ever seen on somebody?
So that's a good question because they being whoever, stick with the Roy G. Biv, the rainbow
Yeah.
colors. But my sister Sally, years ago, years and years ago, I walk into my parents' house here in Gatlinburg, and Sally's laying on the floor with my nephew playing, he's a little guy, and she had a pink aura with black dots in it. And I went, Sally, you've got pink and black around you. And I was telling Jody that earlier, that would be the oddest aura I've ever seen in my life.
Cool.
And you're going to ask what it means? No clue. I even had to ask Sally, what does that mean to you? Of course, black to me tells me that there's a little bit of sickness going on, a little bit of dis-ease going on. The pink, not so sure about, because that was not one of her colors.
Yeah.
Like some people love pink and they would like to be colored with pink, but that wasn't one of her colors.
Mhm.
So whatever she thought pink
Interesting.
meant, but
Cool.
That is interesting. Um, I was going to ask, since it is a supernatural, we are a supernatural podcast, and you did mention seeing the ghost of your deceased grandfather. Have you had any other experiences like that?
well, I have a lot.
Oh,
And I actually have a little book written called Reflections of a Supernatural, Miracle Abound Kind of Life.
Mhm.
I've been seeing spirits since I was 9. And I've lived in houses that have had spirits. I've had miracles happen. I've seen angels. And so we could make a whole podcast off this story. But for whatever reason, now what's interesting in my life is I don't know what to do with it. I mean, I see spirits, I've seen angels, I've seen healing that was so supernatural, but I don't know what to do with it as a gift. Does
Mhm.
that make
Yeah.
sense?
It
But yeah,
does.
Yeah.
I see them all the time. And
Wow. When you see spirits, do they always have an aura like you said you saw with your grandfather's?
yeah, nope. No,
No.
they do not.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I lived in a 200-year-old house one time in Hiltons, Virginia, and two women were in that house, Gladys and Marguerite. They were the two last living people in the house. And they would come and show up in the house all the time. Even the kids saw them. I mean, they were doing crazy things in our house. They weren't scary. They weren't poltergeists. They were just mischievous.
Ah.
And one time I'm standing up in the window upstairs and I'm looking out in the garden, and there's Marguerite and Gladys working in my garden. And I knew it was them by their clothing. And I'm looking at them. And so I run down the stairs and run out the door. And of course, they're not there in the garden. But things like that, we used to homeschool, and we made biscuits and homemade jam and butter because Marguerite and Gladys did in this house years earlier. And I had an old farm table, and I would put all that in the morning out on the table, and I would go homeschool the kids and would come back and it would be rearranged on the table to where they wanted it. And it started to be a game after that. I would purposely put it in the wrong places and come back and it would be super cool. Yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah.
So you mentioned this book. Are you? Is it your goal to publish it and get it out to the masses?
It is. I need an editor. I write not grammarly correct. ... Thoughts. And so it's written, but I need someone that can truly edit it, because my run-on sentence, and I'm well of what they are, is how I talk.
Mm-hmm.
So I write how I talk. So it needs to be handed to someone that, can polish it.
Like structure.
Right.
Yeah. And I have the cover already designed and the book's written, just finding that editor that gets the supernatural, because I've had people offer to edit it, but they don't believe in that. So the energy they're putting into the editing is going to take away from the story, because they don't believe in the supernatural.
Agreed.
Would affect it for sure.
Yeah. So eventually it'll be published. Soon as someone calls and goes, I can help you with editing, then
I'll do it. Yeah.
That's great, and we'll be glad to promote it. Now, tell us a little bit more about what you're doing now. Or you're not actively like taking clients for readings, or are you still doing that?
I am not, and I am missing my field terribly. I moved here to help my parents, and when I closed down my business in Abingdon and quit teaching at the college, it just came. Actually, I call it a growth period for me. It was time to not only caretake, but maybe shed some things that no longer serve me, and to overcome some things that, this season of life I needed to get on board with, because, child rearing's done. And so I would like to see clients. I'm waiting for God to move, universe, use your verbiage, to move and open some doors. I love what I do. I love my gift, and I miss practicing. I miss seeing clients. I do Airbnb experiences and take people out in the forest for meditation. And we just do a transcendental or a guided meditation out there. But I am looking forward to God going, okay, it's time to get back. And it's a daily prayer of mine, just to show me how to step back in professionally into my field. You've got to be in an area, though, that's open to it. And all my clients in Abingdon had exhausted westernized medicine. My daddy was a westernized doctor. Our mother was an RN. But most of my clients had exhausted westernized medicine, and then they were coming to me, not just for spiritual things, but herbal remedies and things like that. So eventually, I look forward to seeing clients again.
It seems like you have a good approach, just like spiritual, physical, emotional well-being is the goal, and that's really neat. I hope you can. I hope a door opens and you definitely can get back into that. And we're sometimes in the area where you are. I'll have to look you up and maybe we can go do a meditation.
Yeah, that'd be so
Absolutely.
fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. I would love that. Absolutely. And yes, the door will open. That's
Mhm.
being a whole person is terribly important. And sometimes we concentrate on the physical instead of the spiritual, or the
Mhm.
spiritual and not the physical or mental,
Mhm.
emotional. And it's all the whole person.
It
Just
is. And
Mhm.
in this pace of life that we're in and work and all of these things, it's so easy to lose sight of that.
so easy. It's so easy. And sometimes we all know it. We just need reminders to
That's
slow
very
down
true.
and breathe. We
Mhm.
all we all know what we need to do. And but we need to be reminded on how to get there, and that it's okay to stop, and there's other things in life besides just working all the time and coming home, that you do have a body and a mind to take care of, spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so true. Lindsay, did you have anything else?
Well, I was just gonna say it's so funny that when you were talking about the aura that you saw around me, that it was like yellow but a little muddy, because I'm like just now getting over some sickness. And I would come like all last week. I was so sick all last week. And I would just come home and take some medicine and like go to bed at 7. Like, and usually I feel so guilty about that because I'm like, well, I'm going to bed so early, like I should be up and going and getting stuff done and being productive. But my body was just like, no, it's not happening for you this week. You're going to bed.
Yeah, well, good for you listening
Just
to,
shut me down.
because so many times we don't listen
We
to our
don't. Yeah.
body, and then
Yeah.
it'll take us down. It's like, get rest,
Yeah, because we
Right.
have
breathe.
this culture that's like, go, go, go all the time. You have to work.
All the
You have
time.
to be a girl boss. You have to get all this stuff done. And so when I'm not, I feel guilty. But then I'm like, gosh, I'm so tired all the time, you
Yeah.
know?
Mhm.
So,
I take naps, and I have a friend that cannot nap. She just can't. And when she'll go, "What did you do today?" "I took a nap at 2 o'clock." And she's going, "How do you do that?" But my body requires it. If I'm not at work, my
yeah,
body requires nap time.
yeah,
And but like you, it made you stop. It made you just. So let me tell you what I see, and I normally won't read over the computer. There again, the energy field is difference. But I
yeah,
see your pale yellow, and you've already told me that. But you have something new coming up too. I see this green, and that's a new beginning, and a little orange on top of that. So you have something very creative you're doing or about to start doing. And then on top of that is a light purple. And so that tells me, for me, that purple, that you have a spiritual life. You have, I don't know if it's a prayer life. I don't know if it's seeking spiritual things. I don't. Those things don't matter to me, but you have a light purple on that. That there's something that you do in a spiritual life.
yeah.
Does any of that make sense to you?
It does. I feel like lately I've been thinking a lot about being empathetic and trying to have like a higher consciousness and like seeing the world as a full body instead of all these little parts together being
Right.
so bad that it's like truly good at the core. So I'm trying to keep that going.
Yeah.
And you may not have known this, but Lindsay is an art teacher and
Oh,
Yeah.
she's
nice.
an artist.
Yeah.
Nice. No, I
So
didn't know
you,
that. Nice.
so you said that, and we like right now, especially in the spring, we have all these different art shows going on and starting. So I'm like trying to get the kids up and going and getting all these projects started. So that's funny that you said that too, because we have a lot of creative stuff going on right now at my job.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
And do you have something new happening with your green, a new beginning of something
Um,
happening?
well, I did just buy a house,
Oh, well,
so
there you go.
yeah,
It's a new
so
journey. Huh.
we're embarking on that new journey, and it's been going really well so far. So hopefully that stays pretty green.
For
Yep.
sure.
Next time we'll see her, and it'll be colors everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really going to practice this. reading people's auras, because
Yeah,
I
me
didn't
too.
know that anybody could do it. I thought you had to have like some kind of special gift to do it.
Anybody can do it, and start practicing just looking at, relax your eyes. And if you forgot how to do that picture that I was talking
Mhm.
about, I just don't know what that's called.
I don't either. There's a
I
name
was trying
for
to
it though.
remember it. The only thing I could think of was like those hidden images with the different colors where you really have to try and look and see.
Yes,
But
that's
I
what
don't
I'm.
know what they're called.
See, I don't either, but you used to have to relax your eyes, because if you tried too hard, you could
You
never
couldn't
see
see
it.
it. Yeah.
So you just
Right.
got in that relaxed state. So
Yeah.
just practice your eyes on that relaxed state. And, or like on Facebook, you see a lot of those little games come by, like where a horse is walking, but if you look at it, it'll
Yes.
go
It
backwards
goes
instead of
backwards and forwards.
forwards, with the
Oh,
ballerina's
that's
going
great.
this way, but you can make it go that
Yeah,
way.
that blows my mind.
Practice your eyes with those kind of things, and you'll learn how to do it. You'll get it done.
That's
Um,
awesome.
So cool.
What about people who are like colorblind? I just thought about that because I have a friend that's colorblind. Like,
it,
I
you
guess,
know, I don't know. I mean, think she can't see, or he can't see the colors.
right.
Yeah, that's a good question. But it would be like anything else. If you don't have that sense, then you're going to have to feel it. You're going to
Right.
have
Yeah.
to learn the colors by feel, which
Mhm.
is totally possible as well. Because we know when someone's sick, when they approach the room without seeing the aura, um, their body's slumped down,
Uh-huh.
their heads down, their eyes are drooping. So we know signs of a sick person
Yeah.
just from that. So I'm gonna think they would have to learn energy versus color.
Yes, good,
Yeah,
Yeah.
good point. And
yeah.
I didn't know this till last year when I was doing some research for our podcast, but I went down a rabbit trail of there are actually people who see colors or hear colors. They hear colors,
Mhm.
or they associate a certain when they see a letter, there's a certain color associated with it. Have you heard about that phenomena?
Mhm.
No, but that's really interesting, because there's some guy that does music on plants. And again, the auras around plants
Mhm.
and colors are vibrating off that. But I haven't heard hearing colors.
Mhm.
I would be interested
There's
in that.
I don't remember what it's called, but I teach the kids about an artist Kandinsky, and he had that. So his paintings are wild to look at because he would associate different colors with different sounds and different numbers and letters and all
Uh,
that crazy
I
stuff.
love. And what was his name?
Kandinsky,
Okay, Kandinsky. Okay, I'd like to research that.
yeah,
Super
yeah,
cool.
mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, that
really
is.
cool. It's
There's
crazy
Yeah.
how
so
the
many things out
works.
there that just blow my mind.
Yeah,
Well, and there is, and that's why we've got to learn to be open, because I see auras and colors mean something to me. Colors are going to mean something different to other people. The list you have, I have a list right here, a book right here, and another list right here, and all of them don't match up. They all are saying the same colors. And I tried to find a book today by Edgar Casey, and it's my favorite aura book. I would get it like in the 70s or 80s. And of course, I went through storage and I couldn't find it anywhere. And
mm,
so, somewhere through the years, I've put it somewhere, but I loved his thought on what colors, and that would be the one I studied first. But
Mhm.
I'm a big Edgar Casey fan.
Mhm.
So but we just got to be open. So like if you're reading someone, what does that color mean to you? I'm sure you think of that when you paint or teach the kids thing. What does that color mean to you? How do you feel about that color? So
yeah.
we just got to be open to all the different
Funny to me though,
theories.
because we like when we do color and we learn about color theory, I'll put up these different paintings that have they're monochromatic, so they're mainly one color, and I'll ask the kids, "What do you think of when you see this painting, or how does it make you feel?" And sometimes I wonder, like, if I throw up a blue one, they're like, "Oh, that it makes me feel sad, or it makes me think of sad things." And sometimes I wonder if it does make you feel like that, or we just have heard that that color is associated with sadness so much,
Yeah.
that's just the first thing that comes to mind, you know?
See, that's super
Wow.
interesting because people say, "Are you blue? Are you
Yeah.
blue? Are you sad?" Where
Yeah.
when I look at the sky, it makes me feel peace.
Yeah,
Me
like peaceful, calming kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
I always wonder that.
But that's a good thought, and I am sure what we are raised or what's in our environment has
Yeah, just
something to do with
conditioning.
how we feel about certain
Yeah.
colors and things. I mean,
Yeah.
even objects we feel that way about, don't we? If we have a bad
Hmm.
connection with them, that's a bad memory or whatever, that we automatically have a negative thought of them, where somebody else might embrace it.
Yeah.
And I wonder too, like, if you ask someone, what's your favorite color? They're just usually one that just pops into your mind. Like mine has always been, you were talking about turquoise earlier. That's always been my favorite, my peaceful
Mhm.
color. I just, anytime I see turquoise, anything, I want to get it. But I wonder if that has to do kind of with the aura that we project, as well. That's interesting to think about.
That is interesting to think about. And then it makes me go on to are you relating colors to horoscopes? Because
Hmm.
it is it the time of year that you're born, the horoscope that you're under. But I'm with you. Turquoise, royal purple, and gold have always been the colors that I am drawn to. I'm drawn to those colors.
Yes.
Again, I used to wear big chunks, and I would still wear them if they hadn't broke, and I can't find anybody that can string it properly.
Hmm.
But that makes me, turquoise makes me feel beautiful. And
Hmm.
so, why wouldn't we wear those colors all the time? That
Yeah.
makes us feel nice. What color
Hmm.
do you, Lindsay, like?
I I love like iridescent colors. It's funny because I feel like I have two parts of my personality. Like one part is iridescent and really shiny and glittery, and I love all of those pinks and purples and greens. But then the other half is like I love black and dark grays and like moody colors too. So it's very opposite, but I love those two things.
Yeah, very cool though.
And
Yeah,
that's interesting because Lindsay is a cusper. She is the only one of my children that was born on a cusp, and I was also born on a cusp. So you have that duality of the different zodiac signs. I'm like
so what?
Aries, Taurus,
Okay.
and she is,
Aquarius Pisces, I think.
yes, Aquarius, Pisces.
Yeah.
And when you said iridescent colors, it made me think of like mermaid kind of.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
anything
right.
shimmery, pink,
Yeah.
purple, glitter. I love like moonstones and opals are my favorite. I love them. I think they're so
Nice. And that would make you go with the Pisces, wouldn't it? The
Yeah.
water, the fish, the mermaid.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that's
It
kind
is.
of cool, right?
It's been very interesting. The conversation has been really interesting. If you
Yeah.
have, Julie, if you have any, like a website you'd like to share, or links or anything, just send them to us and we'll be glad to put them up on our social
Yeah.
media. Information if people would like to get in contact with you. There may be other podcasts that would like to have you on as a guest, or
I would love that. Doors
yeah,
just open to get back in the field. And
Yeah.
I do have a website. It sits pretty dormant just because I'm in that what's next phase.
right.
But I would be honored if you wanted to
Would you
share
want to
stuff.
share the name of your website?
It's a labyrinth of healing. A labyrinth of
Healing.
healing.com.
Oh, I like that. I like
Yeah.
that a lot.
Yeah, a labyrinth representing the journey of your life. And
Yes. Yeah.
so yeah, I like that too. The journey's kind of fun, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Mhm.
And we've enjoyed this journey because we're getting to meet a lot of new people that we probably wouldn't
Hmm.
have met otherwise,
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
I'm
through the
sure.
podcast. Yeah,
I'm sure. That's super cool, isn't it?
it is.
Everyone has a great story. Everyone
They
has a
do.
great story. Yep.
Yes. And we thank you for sharing yours. And
Yes.
we
It's
will,
Absolutely.
been
Thank you
so
for having me.
fun.
yes, it
Yeah.
has. I've really enjoyed this one. I'm glad it's
Yeah.
our first episode to kick off
I know. I
season
feel
2.
very
This is a
honored.
good
Thank
one.
you. Thank you. I feel very honored.
Well,
Yeah.
We'll be sharing, listeners and viewers. Check out our socials. We'll be sharing some from this episode, and we'll be sharing also what's coming up next week. We are doing an episode about doppelgangers, so don't miss that. And Lindsay, I'm going to let you tell our listeners how to get in touch with us if they want to send in their stories.
Yeah, gosh, we're on everything at Sirens of the Supernatural. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. If you have stories, email them to us. What is our
we're Sirens of the Supernatural at gmail.com. Very easy to remember.
Yeah.
So send in your stories, or if you have topics that you would like us to cover this season, you can comment on our socials or send us an email. We'd love to hear from our listeners, and we need more listener stories this season. We had some good ones last season, so send those in as well. And we will say goodbye like we always do, and that is stay spooky. Bye, everybody. Bye, Julie.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Sirens of the Supernatural. Be sure to join us next week, Friday, February 16th, for episode 2 of season 2, titled Doppelgangers Double the Dread, when the Sirens team will share their findings during this most interesting investigation. Then, on Friday, February 23rd, we will air a special can't-miss double episode titled Demons and Deliver Us from Evil, featuring the renowned demonologist and former NYPD Sergeant, Ralph Sarchi, whose gripping experiences have inspired books, TV shows, and movies alike. Don't you dare miss this thrilling and intense interview that almost didn't happen. Until next time, stay spooky!